we are going to discuss our top 3 Kickstarter campaigns, our personal favorite top 3 Kickstarter campaigns that we have either backed or seen or been a part of. Less so, I think, a part of. I think more for us is as a backer. Like what are the 3 campaigns that really caught our eye? So I'm actually gonna let Chris Moyer go first on this one. Actually, I'm sorry, Chris Hage. Let you Hage go first.
All right, we'll start off here. So yeah, these are the top 3 that, and it's hard to choose. That's the first thing I'll say, because there's been a lot of great campaigns over the last 10 years or so. Just incredible campaigns. So the first one I'm going to choose here is Luminosity by Jody Eklund. It was a take on Norse mythology. There were 2,800 backers, over $145,000 raised on the campaign. The artwork is spectacular. It's beautifully laid out. You hear that common theme, and as I talk through that, I mean, look at the artwork there is just fantastic. Of course, Jody and I did another take on kind of the Norse theme with Forged recently, which is another which you showed earlier. But then Luminosity is just a beautiful. I mean, the tuck box is beautiful. The special boxes he had for that were great. The quartz are great with all the color. So that's one on the list. The second one you may not think of, but for me it was Devils in the Details. It's a riffle shuffle deck, Widak or Widak design, I think is how you say it. And the reason I like this is just because of the intricacy of the artwork on this. I mean, the back design I think on this is really spectacular as well. I think there's a picture of that, and it's just super great. They look great in your hand as well. So that's number 2 on my list. But my all-time favorite is Marianne Larson's Circus Playing Cards. And Marianne is fantastic. The artwork
such a cool deck.
Yeah, I mean, the artwork on this deck it says spectacular on the tuck box, and it really is spectacular. Everything from the deck seal that goes on the bottom of the tuck, everything fits perfectly with the theme. The nostalgia, that relate to this is just there. I think I have a picture of the campaign layout as well. And if you back any of Marianne's decks, I mean, you'll know that the layout of the Kickstarter is just, I mean, there's nothing else like it really. The flow is beautiful. The design and the artwork, the effort that she puts into just the design and flow of each page of the Kickstarter is just great. So that's number 1 on my list, the Circus Playing Cards deck.
Okay, well, that's a good list. I actually didn't back that circus deck. It's pretty good. It's pretty great looking.
It's wonderful.
I'm sad that I missed it.
They're hard to come by now too.
Probably happened like right as I was moving or something. All right, so let's. Okay, I'm gonna go next. And I have a couple of honorable mentions, because it's hard for me after 208 projects of being a backer to just say like there's 3 that I really love. There are a few. So the first one that I want to bring to everyone's attention is one that people might not be very familiar with. I did a video on it on my channel at one point. It is the Iron Clays campaign, and I don't know if you guys remember this campaign from a couple years back. It's like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Like,
oh yeah, that's a good one.
So yeah, they did this Iron Clays. They did this wonderful laminate poker box with the iron clay chips and the iron core chips. And this campaign was really, not only was it a gorgeous campaign and a beautifully well run campaign, but it was the inspiration behind the Groundskeeper, which I ended up working on. Right. So like, to me, what Iron Clays did with this very kind of simple poker set was something that sparked an idea in my mind. Hey, like, what would a luxury poker set look like? Like if we were gonna, do the Iron Clays on steroids, like what is that gonna look like? So that campaign had a lot of influence for me. So for that reason alone, it's on my honorable mentions. Moving on, Usi is a company that I love. I think they've done some beautiful things, beautiful artwork. They're fantastic designers, and their page is always very simple. Their campaign pages are always very simple. They don't do as many campaigns anymore as they used to, in part because you could just go to their website and kind of they launch stuff sometimes just on their website that they pre-fund. But obviously the classic deck is a beautiful deck, but the one that really stands out for me is this one, is the pagan deck, which is my number 3 deck, right? My number 3 Kickstarter campaign. This is probably art-wise one of my favorite decks I have ever seen. Like they just Linnea just absolutely kills it with these oil painted artwork that I mean they're all worthy of hanging up.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. And just the feeling of lore that it evokes, right? Like you look at these pictures and you think, oh man, there's a story there. That Jack of Clubs with the hood is just absolutely fantastic. And Jackson Robinson chiming in here that his Gilded is one of his top 5 favorite all-time decks, which is saying something. But yeah, this deck in particular, just the beauty of the artwork, the simplicity, the even their add-ons, like these little wooden, like, I mean, they're just elegant. It's just an elegance. It's not like a crazy over-the-top campaign. It's not a super elaborate campaign, but it's just just an elegance to the whole delivery of this campaign that I think is gorgeous and worthy of putting on my list. This one is an interesting one because you would think, like, I think a lot of people never even heard of this deck. This is the Sardines Playing Cards. It's by a female creator, but it goes by the name of Squiddle Inc. Her name is Stacy J. Kelly. And she is a name that I think people should start learning. Okay. When I look at up and coming artists in the playing cards realm that I think are going to make a name for themselves, I think this campaign speaks to that. Number one, the artwork is beautiful. It's intentional. It's gorgeous. It's vibrant. It's fun. The whole campaign reeks of that. Like the way that she did these headers on the campaign page, the art, the graphics, the intentionality in the background. I don't even know if this is a render or not. Like, but if it is, it's a beautiful render. If it's a photograph, it's an amazing photograph. So it's just a really well composed campaign. Here you can tell that these are probably not renders, but there's just like a vibrancy and I love the thematic use of the rope. I mean, Chris Moyer, you love doing this stuff, and I love seeing it, which is like, the incorporation of having props that work to communicate an idea, to evoke a feeling, to tell a story, to use Jackson Robinson's perspective.
Complementary details, I call it.
Absolutely. Complementary details. Exactly. And just the beauty of the artwork itself. And I mean, it's just not to get away from all that others but honestly, the art on itself makes it a really worthy piece in this collection. I look at these pips. It's just a beautiful thing. And then one of the other things that I really love about campaigns is when they take the extra step to include add-ons that make sense. Okay. And so in this case, having the tin sardines in a tin, it's just too perfect a thing to not do, right? And it just feels that they really nailed it. They really nailed the concept behind this. And and then t-shirts and great, and art prints are great, and just stuff that makes sense for the campaign. This is a piece of art. The Sardines piece of art, playing cards, is something that I could see hanging in somebody's kitchenette. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not necessarily just for playing card. It could be an artwork that's just hanging in your kitchen, because it's like evoking that idea or that thought or a maritime kind of vibe or whatever. But it's a beautiful campaign, and it's definitely number 2 on my list. Number 1 on my list is the Oddfellows campaign. And, I've talked a lot about how amazing Lorenzo Gaggiotti is. I know Chris is going to talk about this deck in a few minutes, but yeah, this campaign was a beautiful campaign from top to bottom. Just in the way he presented the campaign, like this ripped paper motif, this isn't something I added or something this is intentional, because on the campaign page, it's white. And these rips make the pictures feel like you've torn through the campaign page, right? And this makes what makes a really great Kickstarter campaign is when you have, you know, these things, these motifs that kind of draw the backer in, and you know, you're telling a story of what this is, and it's just this odd. It's a deck called Oddfellows, so it's going to be a little strange, and you're gonna have strange little symbols on the pips, and there's going to be ripped paper because it makes sense within the context. So yeah, this is a beautiful deck. The artwork is just phenomenal. I mean, look at these core cards. These are some of my favorite core cards of all time. They're just astronomically great. You know, the way he incorporates the club pip into her like, you know, plunging neckline kind of vibe or whatever you call that. Like, it's just a wonderful, smart and clever and quirky deck that I think belies how well thought out a campaign it is. You know, he had all of these like things that he did different versions, and I have a collection, the whole Oddfellows collection of decks, and I love them. But you know, the way he did the box so that each part of the box opens separately, it's just very intentional and well thought out, and definitely my number one, you know, my number one Kickstarter campaign that I've ever been a part of.
We couldn't all pick that one, right?
Yeah, that's true. Chris Moyer, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'll start with this one since you already have the pictures and everything up. But yeah, this is my number one also. But I think for different reasons. I think some of the things that stood out to me with this one was along the lines of what I alluded to earlier, in that if you backed as a completionist for this one, there was a photo and it had everything in the completionist tier in that photo. It wasn't this one, but it had everything. And then at the beginning of the campaign, there were photoshopped blocks over various pieces, so you couldn't see everything that you were getting in that tier. But then as the campaign progressed, as the mini deck got released, as the I think Sir Octo came later, and then the Frog came later, but it was like he kept introducing these new characters and these new add-ons, and then that picture of the completionist here, just like that block that was covering it, now became uncovered. So it just kept everyone so engaged. I've never seen another campaign like that where like I felt like I was tracking it the whole way. I was like, well, what's under that next block? I want to know what else is to come. Like, it was so compelling in that way. So for me, that's why it was number one. Not to mention, it is just so cool. The Oddfellows are great, and quirky is absolutely the best word for it. And it's made me want to obviously continue pursuing the other options as they've come out as well. So love that campaign. The next one up, you've got it up on the screen there, and you know, 2 weeks or 2 sessions in a row where we get to kiss a little Gentleman Wake booty here. But the successor for me was also just such a cool campaign, because one, for me, it was probably the first big campaign I worked on as a photographer. So that like gave me some special, you know, connection to it as well, that I think makes it stand out to me in my mind. But to me, this was also a campaign that sort of reached for another level. I mean, not only did it have all of these versions of incredible cards, but then added these metal sculpts to certain tuck boxes, and then like Omar, like pushing the level to this 25-pound sarcophagus.
It's 4 pounds.
Yeah, it's 4 pounds, but you know, like there's nothing else that weighs that much in the playing card world, let's be honest. But like with this metal sculpt on top and the box, and it just like, to me, when I first saw it, I was like, holy cow, you reached. You didn't just think about like, okay, like how can I take things to the next level? It was like, how do I like try and, you know, use a cheat code and jump like 5 levels to get to the boss level or something like that. Like it was just so cool. And so I remember unboxing this for the photography for the first time. And I know it was a prototype, but I opened it up and I was like, holy cow, this is different. And it just elevated the playing card world for me at that time. So very cool.
Thank you, man.
And then the last one for me goes back a little bit earlier in my playing card collecting, but it's the 2049 deck from AV Tones. And this, I was newer to collecting at this time, but I feel like so many campaigns really touch on like stories and throwbacks from the past and have these antique vibes or history associated with them. This was the first time I saw like a futuristic campaign that just like knocked my socks off. And it started with, if nobody's seen it, go to the campaign page now and watch the intro video that he made for this. It is, in my opinion, the single best playing card video anyone has ever made. It's cinematic. He animated the entire thing, and it was just so cool. So when I saw that video, I was like, well, I'm backing this for sure. And then as you scroll down and you see all these unique details, and it's like, I don't think I've seen anyone else design a deck quite like this up to this point, but it's so distinctly the AV Tones style. And then throughout, kept coming out with like these unique versions, like the orange version or the different tucks with the orange on it. I think there were definitely some mistakes made during this campaign with how those new decks were released that really rubbed some people the wrong way without giving anyone any warning that they were dropped and new versions were available in limited quantities. But everything made sense to me, and it just felt like so cool and different from anything else I had seen at the time. So loved the 2049 campaign.
Yeah, I think those are all awesome. Thank you very much for mentioning the successor. I appreciate that. But if you're at home, why don't you let us know in a comment below what you think your top 3 favorite Kickstarter campaigns are ever, and why. We'd love to find out what you have to say. And if you come by and are live in the during our live stream, we can read out your comments just like this one. My favorite campaigns are the 10-in-1 collection by Dave Koenig, Professor Tate's Traveling Roadshow by David Bolt and Richard Tate, and Eye of the Ocean by S17 and Heartless by TWI. Eye of the Ocean is a fantastic one. It just missed my list also, to be honest, having the book and all that stuff. It's another very ambitious project. I think Successor and Eye of the Ocean were like back to back almost. And they really kind of represent like, again, taking, Chris says stepping it up. I say going insane because it felt like I was going insane while I was putting that project together. Honorable mention. Yeah. Paul makes a good point here. And I think it's worth saying Jackson. We didn't mention Jackson's projects, any of Jackson's projects, but I should say that the first first project on Kickstarter of any kind, playing cards related, that really caught my eye was his Federal 52 decks, which would probably be in my top 5. If this was a top 5 list, that would have been in the top 5, because Federal 52 deck, especially the Silver Certificate, has always been one of my favorite decks, and those are just great campaigns and really ushered in the modern Kickstarter playing cards world. Before that, there hadn't been any real massive campaigns, and obviously there's been some other massive ones, and the 1000 and the mint playing cards and 52 cards, but those campaigns are great for different reasons. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content just like this. We're going to be shooting another Deal Me In episode. Episode number 3 will be happening on the 5th of February. Am I right, guys? 5th of February. 5th of February. Yep. We're going to do it at a little later at 8:30 p.m. So come by and join us and be a part of that, and we'll hope to see you there. I think we're going to be tackling some cool topics as well. We're actually going to be broaching a little bit into the subject of AI, which I think is a hot button controversial topic in the world of design. We're going to have some thoughts on that. In fact, if you have any ideas for topics, please leave them below. We'd love to read them, and we will catch you next time. Thank you so much for watching, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Any last plugs that we want to give here? No? All right, great.
Have a great night.
Have a good night.
Bye, all.